Hey, today I'm going to be demoing a tool that I use to launch Tmuxinator projects in a quicker way and in a way that's more nicely integrated with both Vim and Tmux. So here we go. So the tool name is called Tmuxinator FZF Start. It's a bit of a mouthful. I have an alias to MS. You could choose your own alias. So upon running it, what it does is it gets your Tmuxinator project configuration list, and it gives you a selection interface via FZF to be able to choose projects to launch. So hitting enter, I just launched my Dotfiles project. It configures things with Tmuxinator as you would expect if you've used that tool before. So killing my server, it has the ability to take in an optional query parameter. So if you pass in a query, it'll query and display the queried list. If there's more than one result, the queried list will show. But if there's just one result, so for example, if I do dot, then it'll automatically launch that project. So you don't need to query or like filter on a list that only has one thing in it. So it launches it automatically. So another feature that it has is multiple selection. So you can select more than one item. I use this feature. I mean, usually you're not going to be launching 3 projects at once, or at least I'm not. But I do actually have a couple of projects that need to be launched at the same time. They're separate projects that are like parts of microservices that communicate with each other, and I have different Tmux projects set up for them. So now I can use my standard navigation via Tmux, just as you would expect. And I think there's a couple more things to show. So if I kill the server again, and now I'm just going to use my alias MS, I run MS. Because it's powered by FZF, it has the nice fuzzy searching as well. So DK or RK. I really like that. If you start with a capital letter, then it becomes case sensitive. But yeah, so let's launch a couple of projects, and I'll show you another feature that it has. So if I background this Vim process, and then I run my ms command again, and let's do project 13. And when I launch this, because it detected that I'm inside of Tmux, instead of attaching, which I mean I'm already attached, it instead gives me a session selection list, and then upon hitting 13, it jumps me to that session. So that's like effectively the same as doing this process, or using your key binding to whatever your key binding is to switch between previous and next Tmux sessions. I think that's about everything that I have to show of the FZF Start command, but I do also have some Vim integration as well. So bound to leader M, I have the same tool being launched via the terminal available in NeoVim or Vim. So it gives me my selection interface, and just as you would expect, hit enter once again. Because I'm inside of Tmux, it gives me the session selection list, and then I switch. So if we go back to the Dotfiles, the way that that works is a bit of detail I'll get into soon, but first I'll just do a quick show of how the command works inside it. So print out the file. So it gets your Tmuxinator list like this and pipes it into FZF. It loops over the selected projects and starts each one, but without attaching, so it disables the attach feature. In Tmuxinator, for a config, you can specify whether or not it should automatically attach Tmux or not. In this case, I just disable it because I want to either attach manually if there's no Tmux already running, or I want to list out the sessions and give the user a session selection list. So you may not have seen a Tmuxinator config before. So if I show you my Dotfiles one, you specify a name, a root, and then you can specify window and pane configuration with appropriate commands that will run in each one. I leverage this extensively on projects because I have projects that have Docker containers that need to run, or a database that I need to connect to and show my GUI, or I have my lazy Git client that I run, and similar types of things. That's general Tmuxinator configuration and the way that people use Tmuxinator. But in particular, it's a useful tool, and if you haven't heard of it before, you might look into it. So where can you find these tools? The FZF Start project is available on my GitHub. It's just a bash file. As I was showing before, it's pretty simple. So you can install it via Homebrew, or you can just download it and put it on your path. The extra Vim stuff is available in my Dotfiles project, so if you check that out, it's available there to play with. And FZF is available here. Awesome tool. I use it in many places. So for example, it's what powers this. It's also what powers my grepping. It even powers my history lookup search. It does many different things, and I think it's an excellent tool for use. And in particular, what I want to emphasize is that the fact that you could so easily create this interface by doing almost nothing at all. I'm just piping stuff into this program, and then all of a sudden it's this functional tool. And I think that that's a testament to the Unix philosophy, but it's also the implementers of FZF have done a really good job of making this thing reusable for other people as well. I can show the way that it's implemented in NeoVim. A swap file. So the open project command, the binding leader m is bound to run te, which is just term, and then the Tmuxinator FZF Start command. And then at the end of this is just recent config, I've only just included this recently, but it detects term close, and in particular when this command is run and the term close event happens, it launches a timer, and it looks at the contents of the buffer, and if it contains process exited and the status code is equal to a 0, then it deletes the buffer. And so what that means is that in Vim, when I run it and then select a project and hit enter and then switch to it, when I switch back to Dotfiles, you'll notice that buffer is gone. So it's cleaning up the buffer, which I think is nice, because I don't want these process exited flags. And these process exited terminals buffers that have no use. Broadly though, I'm noticing that this is kind of a nice pattern for writing plugins in. So you can use bash for it. Maybe you would rather use Vim script than using bash, but because of the fact that I wanted this to be a command line tool as well as something available in Vim, it turns out that being able to open a terminal like this with this open project like this, it means that I'm actually getting some pretty decent reusable functionality by being able to use the terminal inside of Vim as well as on the terminal as well, in a pretty seamless way. So I think that that's pretty seamless. But anyway, so I hope that you might get some use out of this, or at least it might inspire some ideas. And thanks for listening, and see you later.